Hi, and welcome to Arizona Beer Frontier. I'm Rob Fulmer. This week's podcast brings us to a conversation with the Hoppy Craftsmen. It's a two-part series we'll be broadcasting on our channel, and they'll be broadcasting on theirs. You might even call it a collaboration. In part one, we discuss the upcoming Real Wild and Woody Festival and the reasons for the change in venue to Bellbank Park. The reasons may be a little bit more complex than you might think, and it's intertwined with the mission of the Guild and their strategy for coming out of the pandemic after 2 years of not having their traditional event revenue. Part 2 delves into the Arizona Craft Brewers Guild's connection with other guilds across the country. We'll discuss the difficulties in New Jersey and what the implications might be for every state. The Hoppy Craftsmen have been podcasting since April 2017 and are hosted by Chris Sanbeck, Ed Gomez, Nate Libby, and Jeff Breckton. For the pair of shows, we were joined by Chris and Ed at the Guild offices.
Am I starting?
Yeah.
Okay.
You always start the show.
That's not true.
I start the other one.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the episode of the Hoppy Craftsmen podcast. I am Chris. With me is Ed.
I'm here.
And we are actually on location at the Arizona Craft Brewers Guild with Rob.
How you doing?
Director.
I'm the executive director.
Executive Director. And Andrew.
I am the Deputy Director of the Arizona Craft Brewers Guild.
Damn, did you get a badge?
I did the whole thing.
Yeah.
I wear a hat generally.
Yeah.
My new default emoji is now the cowboy hat.
The
guy.
cowboy hat.
That's it. That's the only one I use for everything.
I would have went with Barty Fife.
Oh, man.
Got a cowboy hat right there. But you can't wear the headphones with it.
No, that's true. It makes it a little harder.
Arizona is a wildly beautiful place, brimming with over 100 brewing companies. I'm Rob Fulmer, the Executive Director of the Arizona Craft Brewers Guild. I'm joined by Deputy Director Andrew Bauman. Together we cover the state, bringing you the best of what's happening at our breweries and beyond. Welcome to Arizona Beer Frontier.
What if you cut holes in it?
Hey, you guys, look.
Yeah, you could turn them upside down.
They spin.
Oh, man. That's why he's the Deputy Director.
Yeah.
We're not.
So clever.
He's the idea guy.
So, yeah, we're hanging out here. Having some beers. What do you guys... with Fate's next door, which, by the way, for some reason, I thought it was Huss. I don't know why.
Because Huss is everywhere.
I Googled Huss, and I'm like, it's nowhere near that.
Give it time.
Yeah, it's Fate.
Yeah, it's we're having a Fate Pilsner and also the Fatality. Yeah,
Fatality.
Yep, nothing to like blowing your palate out in the early afternoon.
Every time we go get beers anywhere, I get an IPA. Last time we went, Rob's like, "You really do like IPAs, don't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, all the time."
I'm Pilsner.
Yeah, well, I mean, this show is called the Hoppy Craftsmen, so we also like IPAs. Andrew. Though I'm drinking a Pilsner right now.
It's a hoppy pilsner.
It's good.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't take a rocket scientist and anybody who listens to this show to know why we're here. Because when we usually talk to Rob, it's usually around a beer festival.
Well,
true.
you guys can talk to me more often than that. I mean,
But you're a busy guy.
no. Can you move that the growler? I don't know if it's in the camera.
Oh yeah,
shot.
Chris. Wait.
Here, I'll turn it. Is that better?
Yeah. Now move it. We have some cameras here because we have our Arizona Beer Frontier podcast, and we're not here to do anything other than allow us to talk a lot more, Andrew and I, because we like talking. And we also have a video channel on YouTube, so you're going to see all of our storage equipment in this little office, and your smiling faces. And
Excellent.
so we're gonna broadcast this at the same time, more or less.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
a collaboration. Wow, look at that.
Whoa.
Very beer adjacent.
I know. I think we talked. I think we talked about in the last show that we found you guys had a podcast, and we're like, oh, we're gonna be rivals now. We're gonna be a rival with Rob, and then
Cross-posting and cross-dressing.
Oh man, yeah.
We're probably not going to talk about beer very much.
And then
we're talking about the business side of it.
And
Which,
that's what we figured out. We were like, you know what? It's probably not going to be
no.
the opinion show that ours is. It's going to be more facts. You're probably more factual than we are.
No, it's opinion. It's good opinion, though.
Some law.
What is a fact, actually? And what is law? I mean, today one thing, tomorrow another.
Yeah. It's what somebody wrote down and everybody agreed upon, I guess.
I hope everyone, understands that we're just. It's therapeutic for us to talk about stuff.
Yeah,
we don't have a water cooler. We don't have, and when Andrew's not here, I talk to the empty desk because
Yeah, you don't look as crazy when you're talking into a microphone to yourself as if you're just sitting here staring at the ceiling doing it.
Yeah, so we're excited to get some of that stuff out, and especially since we're on site a lot, we record a lot of B-roll and there's a lot of stuff, and so I mean, honestly, if you said, hey, I want to know more about this, I'm like, hey, I got all kinds of. Well, I have files on this if you want to listen to them so you understand what's going on, and then you can use some of it or not. You could just use it for background. I mean, that's hopefully the purpose of it. We want more people to talk about more breweries in Arizona more of the time.
Yeah, and so many people are moving, even with books and stuff, to the audio format. I think print is on its way out permanently. Everybody says that, and they've been saying it for decades.
Yeah,
but
I'm no Ed.
it's more consumable because people can listen to it in their car, when you're sitting, walking in the park, stuff like that. So it's a lot easier. And depending on how long are your shows going to be?
Well, I mean,
or what are you shooting for?
We're shooting for about 30 minutes. We had one that was 50 minutes, and it was 2 parts, so it was really an hour and a half. But there was just no way to carve that out.
We feel your pain. We know that.
I know,
We how that works.
but I mean, I do want to edit. I mean, let's put it this way. I like this longer format once in a while, but I like to keep it tight if we can.
Right.
And there's no greater feeling when you're driving across Arizona and you can clip through 5 shows at 1.2 or 1.3 on the thing, and it's just to get through them all and get the information. So, yeah.
And we're drinking out of appropriate glassware that was cellared. Is that what?
Yeah, it's cellared glassware.
Yeah.
It's a barrel too, which is kind of appropriate.
This is from 2019's Real Wild Woody. We have some extra stuff. We're actually going to be. If you're catching this next week, I would hope, or something like that, you might be able to know where we're dropping some of this glassware to
drop it.
To get it in the hands of people who have purchase tickets is what the goal is.
Very cool.
So to not beat around the bush anymore, we're here to talk about this year's Real Wild and Woody, which is in August right off the bat. Usually it's
It's usually at the end of July, but we did a thorough site selection. And we ended up back at Bellbank Park. They have a field house. It's indoors. It's going to be smaller. I think our breweries are back, but they're being more selective on what they do and where they use their beer resources and their human resources people, and we're rolling with that. So we, despite what some people might think, we're not making bank because we're moving it to a Bellbank Park. There's only if we're going to retain some of the elements of the festival, which was summer indoor festival. If we're going to do it indoors, we have literally 5 choices in the valley. One of them is I don't know if I want to name them all, but one of them is where they have auto shows and but they will only offer the kind of license that we need for their Arabian horse shows. So I think you know where that is, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then all the sports stadiums who have contracts, and their first inclination is to want to take our donated beer and have it sold to them, and then they sell it back to us, which doesn't make any sense. So,
That makes no
so
sense.
that's how they make their money,
Right.
On alcohol. So when they're not going to get that money, if we have a restaurant component or food trucks, first of all, they don't want that. They want to charge catering. And one of the companies, we were going to do a free event for retailers. So we're going to have 300 retailers. And the distributor involved said, hey, we can use this space. You just have to pay for catering. And we're like, okay, great. We'll pay for chips and celery or whatever. They wanted to charge us literally $12 a hot dog for every person that came for free. And I'm like, we're not making any money on this. Wow. It's not a wedding. And if it was, we wouldn't be serving hot dogs. So it's just 2 businesses that they have a model where they're supporting giant events, concerts. There's a lot of money involved. We don't have a lot of money to float that. We don't have a musical act that we can inflate the charge on and all that other stuff. We don't have a sports team, so it's nobody's fault. I mean, like, I'm not mad at them, but it's just they're not ready to address.
It's not the right fit. I mean, that
right.
doesn't fit what you guys need, and doesn't really work for it.
So with the convention center, they require us to use their personnel. They're not used to IDing 1,000 people before gates open, and it's always a struggle, and everyone gets bent about it with us. I'm like, look, we have to use these guys, and they have no incentive other than get paid.
Yeah, there's there to do that.
We have to use their ticketing, and there's huge overheads on that. I mean, we all of this is like negotiation, and if we were to do Strong Beer at Phoenix Convention Center and pretend like the pandemic didn't happen, we'd be out of pocket about $150,000.
Dang.
And we've done that before when we had $150,000 in some reserves and all that stuff. But I'm going to tell you right now, we make $20,000 out of that. That is a terrible investment, and we're not able to do that right now.
Right.
So if you want to get mad at us for not recreating 2019 or 2018, great. I'm here for it. But if we're going to have this summer festival indoors on time with all the beers that we're talking about, we only have one choice this year. We might have 2 choices next year. We might have 5 choices next year. But for today, this year has to be there. Or it's not happening at all. We choose to have it.
Right. That makes sense. I mean, I'd rather have it too. I mean, that's how it works.
Yeah.
I mean,
but like, if you're not prepared to make that trip, I'm not twisting your arm.
yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people out that way, and they never get to do it because they're not near downtown.
Right.
So.
It's the exact opposite for them. I think that's the thing that people forget a lot of times too. It's a business. Everything's a business, right? It's got to make financial sense to do these. Like, you could have a major rager and then do it once and that's it. But if you want to do it every year and make it an annual thing, you have to have those things in mind before you do them. So that makes sense. The only thing I say when we went to Strong Beer Fest was the construction out there was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that's been kind of rounded about, maybe.
Yeah,
I've been out there a while.
there's 2. Well, first of all, they had 20,000 people there apart from us,
right?
And we had 6,000, and so our numbers numbers were right on. That never left.
Okay.
The experience on the ground was great. Yes, they was under construction, and they have now 2 exits on Highway 24. We actually pressed Bellbank Park to have better parking, and we came up with a solution. And was it ideal? No, but it was ideal for what we had.
Right.
And they're new to the game, and people, it was a disaster, and or like, I wish the guild would learn its lesson. Like, that's my favorite. Like, no, man, like we learn lessons all the time, but this is where we're at. But we had to get them up to speed on what's required for event, and we were the first event they ever did other than that. So this time in the summer, there's not going to be 20,000 people. I don't think there's any other events going on. It'll be in the field house. There'll be better cell connection. Right, because there's not literally that many people.
Yeah, it's a paved parking lot.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
Like, the big secret is you can complain all about it, but you show up, it's going to be probably very elbow roomy, and we're going to make our money, and literally make enough to live another day and get to the next event. I'm being brutally serious when I say that.
That's our hope.
That is where we're at, and like. You can not go, but don't root against us, man.
Right.
Don't root against us. We have other things that we're planning in the future that are going to address the West Side and Central Phoenix, and maybe we'll talk about those a little bit. But we do know also that we're going to do some smaller things. But this is our course correction for the pandemic, and it happens all after everyone is safer. Like the businesses are have a pathway back, and this is our pathway, and it occurs much later than everyone else. I've talked a lot, but that's just the way it goes.
All right.
But to circle back, do you have a square footage versus the new versus the old?
Deputy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Deputy?
percentage-wise,
Our current square footage is 57,000 square feet. It's pretty big. And
I think at a high point we were
70
or 80.
Yeah. So it's a little bit smaller, but
Well, we're not bringing RVs in. We're not bringing in
trees.
I mean, it's the beer value is going to be there. We're not decorating this year. We're not. I mean, it's like
So no rock wall.
No. I mean, there might be. I mean, I'm able to break into another room and then one of the other. I don't know. I'm just joking.
The field house,
You could play pickleball all day if you want to go outside. I guess that's a thing. I don't even know what that is.
Outside or pickleball?
Whenever I say it's at Bellbank Park, people say, "Oh, inside?" Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they had a space that big. I said, "Look, 57,000 is the size of our room. The other one's 180, and the other one is 120. We're using the small space there, so
We're using the small space partially because you asked. We have the glassware here. You asked if we're having glassware. Like we had glassware one year at Phoenix Convention Center, and like we're not doing that again. But I mean the reason is in the other spot it's all hardwood floors. I'm like, there's no way that I'm gonna have ice melting on hardwood floors.
well, there's hardwood floors and other like special surfaces.
Yeah.
The one we're in is nice concrete.
Perfect.
Right.
Super easy to
Good.
fix.
Very easy.
And I can imagine when I was 18 and I was playing team sports, and I'm like, I went out a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a little hungover, and I get a whiff of some stale beer and just boot. Like,
So thoughtful, Rob.
I know. Hey, it's all about my.
The largest softball tournament in the Southwest is at Bellbank Park this weekend. Something like 200 teams.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great time to have a softball tournament. 115 degrees.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be outside. They're doing it in the evening, right?
They better be.
It's 108.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, sweat evaporates off you. This is what I tell people.
So I know you get the feedback, and we've seen it online, and I think the biggest consensus we saw was the Wi-Fi. A lot of people complain about that, which I don't know why you needed to be.
Well, it was only a problem when I tried to order food or
Yeah.
I tried to buy a shirt.
So
People
the
were like,
vendors. So you know,
That's
I mean,
what
look,
they mean.
I'm. You can say that I was naive about this, but I went out there. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I got coverage here. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I was like one of 7 people there on a Tuesday, right?
Right.
So I'm like, I did a live Facebook. I'm like, this is great. We got coverage out here. This is amazing. When you get 20,000 people there, it's not going to happen.
doesn't matter.
I went to the Open and I couldn't even text anybody.
Right.
And that's in the heart of very busy Scottsdale.
And sponsored by Verizon.
Yeah, and there's a tower right there.
They built 2 towers out there.
Yeah, so
Doesn't matter.
It's going to happen. I got it. Look, we're going to say all this stuff, and it's the right answers for people, but not everyone's going to hear this, and not everyone's going to hear what we say online and all that stuff. So I get it. Even our own members, right? I mean, they are very busy, and so sometimes they don't get online for a little bit, or they don't answer our emails. So we are ready to take our lumps for all that, but I'm telling you, there was a lot of thought put into it, and again, we're going to do it or not do it. We're doing it.
You said that's how you learn. You can't. You have to learn sometimes too. If you just kept doing it over and over again, then you're not learning anything. But you learn something from last year, you change it, make it better this year, then that's a different story. Right?
So I'm going to fix a lot of things. I already created a highway exit on the other side.
Good job.
That's the only thing I worried about. I didn't even drive.
Yeah. So the Uber thing. Let's talk about that, because this is something some of my members were not understanding either. I think everybody seems to remember 2017, 2018, where we had codes and we could call somebody and route traffic, and we tried. I mean, Andrew
And they
I
would
tried.
bring out tents.
Right.
Yeah.
Lyft, Uber, set up tents.
Yeah, they had
their reps
the
out
little-
there.
They got all their
Markers.
VC money, and then all of a sudden, both of them wanted to own the Chinese market. They spent all their money. They have no money left.
Yeah.
And they're running into labor problems, and the whole model is going to collapse a little bit, which it kind of is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a $30 ride, but if you go by yourself, I don't know, like maybe split the ride with 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just a thought. We can't even. There's no number to call to say, hey, we have this amazing route, which we did for Strong Beer. Like we wanted to route people the back way. And we put it on the ticket information. We put it on and people went the other way. And I get it. I don't always read the information either.
Right.
But I also don't get upset about it and get online. I figured out.
Yeah.
But we can't call Uber to do that. There's no. I mean, there's no number. And when you find something for groups, they want to sell you pre-sold tickets. So, I mean, I guess if you wanted to buy a ticket from us and we had to speculate on what the average cost was, and we had to make our money on losses. I mean, it would cost you an extra $80 to take care of it, right? Like to pad it out. That's how it works.
Right.
Buses. So I don't know if people know, when any of these events, any liquor event, there's an organization behind it, but the ultimate license holder is one individual. That individual is me. So for the last 9-10 years, like, you know, if there's an incident, I'm the guy that gets called, and like I had to structure my my finances, my personal life, so that I have some protection beyond the insurance and stuff. And like that's what you do when you're in this industry. But getting both advice from our legal and insurance, there probably is a pathway to for us to say, hey, we're renting buses, but I almost have to set up another corporation, because here's the thing: if I invite you to my licensed event and then I put you on a bus and I drop you off in downtown Mesa, you're like, perfect. Guess what? The next drink you have gets tied back to me. And I've extended my liability now till you actually get your butt in your bed.
Wow.
So, I mean,
potentially the following day too.
Yeah. It was only recently argued by our lobbyists, by the way, against the
trial lawyers.
Trial lawyers wanted to say, like, 3 days from now, because you were hungover, because you were served, you might be tired and you might cause an accident, and you could tie that back to the original over serving of a beverage. So that's what they do for a living,
right?
But it's in the extreme. But I don't want to be the one guy that wins that case.
Yeah, you
You don't want to be the precedent that they refer to in case law.
No,
it's a Fulmer.
Yeah, Fulmer
really,
for the state of Arizona.
It's really
Yeah, you're
expensive to be the guy who sets the precedent.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where we're at. Like, do I think we can pull that off for strong beer? Should we have it there? Maybe. But if you're listening and that was your idea, I'm telling you right now, if you can fill a bus, you could probably make $10 to $15 a head. So go for it, man.
Yeah, get up
Go
there.
for
Make
it.
sure you get your liability insurance too.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I had my legal attorney and our legal counsel said, probably not. And then our insurance company was like, well, we can write these extra policies, and I don't want to go to trial for that.
Yeah.
And the other thing, it seems like a really good idea getting people there, but it has to be like herding cats to get all those people back on a bus to get them back to like a light rail station or something. Because here, bus leaves for Real Wild and Woody at 10:30, drop you off, back at the bus at 4:45, and that bus is going to sit there for 2.5 hours waiting for the tickets or however you want to do your head count. It's impossible to get people home.
So we took the lump for being the first one there, and it's funny, after Strong Beer, or during Strong Beer, I was like, oh, these guys are talking to Punk and Drove. Because I knew I was following along with that, because I know that some of our brewers involved, and they washed out at 2 locations. I'm like, oh, they're totally going to be here. And it happened, and I'm like, see. It's not a bad location per se. So now, if they have enough of these kinds of events out there, the onus is on that business and the surrounding businesses. And by the way, in the next 3 to 5 years, or maybe even less, there's going to be another hotel put in there with a surf park. So there's nothing out there. There's an airport that's going to bring people from Cincinnati, direct flight, who can go to any of these festivals and leave in the same day. That's what the hope of that airport is going to bring. And hotels and rental cars, and we had to take it down. We had a deal for hotel stay and ride through the hotel. No one took us up on it, and it was it was a pretty affordable hotel, and it was a whole package. You get 2 tickets, 1 room, but we had to pull it down because no one pulled the trigger on it.
Glassware. Growlers, limited edition stainless steel insulated growlers that we made just for that.
Yeah. So
it was a cool package. I
don't know what the occupancy is right now, but I'm pretty sure you could probably get a $130 rate with a free ride.
See, what you could do, Chris, is you could go fly out of the Scottsdale airport and see if they'll fly you down to the Mesa Gateway.
Man, that'd be great.
Take a 3-minute flight and then just walk.
But there are some great craft beers. So that's going to be built up. But the challenge to the city of Mesa, who has Visit Mesa is their destination marketing organization. They've done a great job. And I've been following along since before they had a single brewery there. They have that Sunkist building. They were courting Four Peaks way, way, way back. And they had beer people. And guess what? Downtown Mesa is one of the best beer destinations and adult playgrounds like in the entire state right now.
Yeah, we talked about this last episode. I mean,
Yeah.
previous episodes in the past.
And they've got light rail there. The challenge is like, do they put any kind of public transportation? Could be a bus, probably not light rail, but I'm telling you, like the history of this light rail, which I'm a fan of, is people like don't want it in their backyard until they do, and like now they have a reason. So like it's going to be a long slog, but like to get it, but like that's what we're here. So, but we can't always choose light rail friendly, public transportation friendly places. Otherwise, we're not incentivizing anyone to do anything different.
Right. No, that makes sense.
You guys don't talk about this public policy stuff a lot on your podcast.
Well,
See, there is a space for us.
But that's what's good, because it's easy to just shout into the void and be like, well, you should do this, you should do that, and it would be much easier to do that. But when you look into the logistics of it and the biggest thing, the legality of it, and like you said, being personally responsible for a lot of it when it comes down to it, people don't understand that. And it's a heavy price tag to do all this stuff. And like the guild isn't for profit, so it's not like you guys are
I'll leave you with this. I'll leave with this. We were the first beer festival to ever occur in the Phoenix Convention Center in 30 years. And we were the only beer festival, and no one has found it profitable or worth the risk than us. And we did it for political reasons, because at that time downtown needed the bump. It doesn't need us anymore. We'd love to be there. We'd love to have some national things there. We'd like to have some people following our footsteps. It hasn't happened because no one can take the risk. So for someone to blithely say, hey, you should keep doing it there, I'd love to. I'd love to be able to keep doing it there. I'd love to be able to put an upper deck on the convention center that's just ours. But it ain't going to happen until some other things fall into place. And do I think we'll be back there? I hope so. I hope that we can run our full-fledged conference there. I hope that we can bring some national and regional relevant people into things here, because that's the kind of Phoenix I want to build, but we're not going to fund that on our own. But the other thing that I'll leave you with is we're here, as you mentioned, not we're nonprofit. We're here to extend the mission of what we do. And we've got some things happening, and we can talk about New Jersey and what's going on there. But we live to fight another day, and in the last 9 years, we've had probably some of the best public policy when it comes to our breweries. We survived the pandemic like no other state. Given the rules, we weren't responsible for whether we should be open or not. But if we were going to be open, I think we had some of the safest, well thought out, coordinated experiences that anybody that I've talked to. And we now talk to our colleagues on a bi-weekly basis on the phone, and we see each other 3 or 4 times a year. So I can say that confidently.
Our colleagues being other employees of guilds across the country.
Oh, I thought you meant like each other.
Yeah,
we talk to each other all the time.
3 or 4 times a year.
This is number 3.
Yeah.
We're almost at the end. At this
Special
point.
occasion.
Well, unless it's got more stuff about.
No, let's
take
take a break, and then we'll talk maybe if Rob has some pricing and breakdown of VIP and stuff like that, and then definitely want to hit on the things going on outside of Arizona, like you mentioned. Some people aren't getting out of this pandemic or recovery unscathed. So we'll take a break, we get new beers, and come back with the Arizona Craft Brewers Guild.
Sorry. Well, we didn't clearly talk about anything secret.
No, that's why
Welcome back.
The magic of editing. Nothing counts until we say welcome back, right, Chris?
That's true.
So welcome back, everybody. We're back. We filled our beers. It's slightly hotter.
I switched to the IPA, so the Pilsner.
Yeah.
It was hoppy, but not as hoppy as I like. So,
we had a great off-mic conversation that is part of the reason we do this, because we get inside information that we get to keep secret. So Andrew was awfully quiet in the first half because Rob was giving us a full breakdown, and then Chris off mic said, Andrew, what did you say you do here?
What is it you do?
What do you do, Andrew?
Well, when I started in February, the goal was for me basically to be the big hug. Member engagement on every level. We want to bring in our out-of-state breweries. We can't bring them into the organization as members, but we can embrace them as members of the community.
Right. Okay.
And it's really hard for us to do that when we're spinning 10,000 plates. So doing
You're
a
the
lot of
good
that,
cop.
a lot of outreach.
You're the good cop.
I get to be the good
gets
cop.
to play bad cop.
Sarah's the bad cop. You're the good cop.
Well,
Nice.
I also collect dues.
Well,
And
so
they
you're
hate
not the
that.
good cop. You're the
It's
tax
okay.
man.
I get to do all that stuff, and then I do get involved in the legislative and lobbying parts. I'm learning.
Okay.
I was a brewer for 8 years. I ran breweries, and so I was always very interested in the legal aspects of what the guild did and very involved in it. And now I just get to do more, but it's a lot of learning.
Okay.
There's a curve.
Do you want to share
yeah.
your brewery history?
Oh, sure. I opened the Perch as the original head brewer, built it from dirt to a brewery and worked there. And then I went to Uncle Bear's Brewery and worked the brew pub in Ahwatukee. Then we built the production brewery in Gilbert.
Which
Built
is
that,
massive.
ran that, and that's what I did.
Are you responsible for the birds?
I am not. No. No.
so don't send
No, I
emails
was
to Andrew.
Don't-
Like,
don't-
I got to be
Contact
very
about the
far
birds.
away from the birds. My girlfriend in high school had a bird, and I hated that thing, and really never gotten over that.
yeah, I can see. Yeah.
So the
with birds.
theory behind having a deputy director is that that person can come in and speak on behalf of the guild publicly and can help with policy in the absence of the director. And it's important for succession, and he's the right guy to run the operations of this organization, and it frees us up to do a lot more things with distillers and wineries, and get like the second level of public policy is not working with your legislators, it's working with business owners outside of the industry, and people who really are responsible for things like public transportation and streets and urban design and all that stuff. That's the goal, and we'll cross train on stuff. And Andrew brings the practical experience of being a brewer and has speaks the language of brewing and until he forgets, because it won't take long before you forget. And
Yeah. Oh
I
no.
still follow all the actual brewing stuff.
I know.
And I still homebrew.
I
which
did that
is
for a while
bizarre,
too.
right?
I did that. It's so cute. I did that for a while.
But I
We're
think
not the same, Rob. Just FYI.
I would imagine your homebrew setup's probably better than
Oh, you would-
Rob's homebrew setup.
No.
No? It's
My
glass
homebrew
jugs?
setup is quick and dirty. I do no boil brewing,
What?
and I only
just sticks it in the sun.
Yeah.
It's hot, no.
I'm doing some things. I mean, I learned a lot in brewing for 8 years, and some of those things I can translate into making home brewing easier.
He calls it
I think-
sun tea brewing.
I think in my absence, homebrewing has gotten easier, but
Homebrew's gotten a lot more automated.
Yeah, get yourself a grain father, man. Just put it on the
Grandfather, everyone's got those.
Kvike yeast, come on,
Yeah.
come on.
I did my last brew with Kvike because I didn't want to have temperature control.
We had to
F
do
that.
incantations and perform miracles to get our yeast to perform correctly.
Both
And
times Rob homebrewed, he did that.
come on, I was an executive homebrewer at the time too.
But I think that because when you think of a brewer's guild or a guild in general, you think of this complex, outreaching organization. How many people are really part of run the Craft Brewers Guild? It's you two, right?
That's it, yeah.
In our state, and it was one person for many years, and before that, it was a part-time person. Before me, it was a part-time person, and the dividends of having full-time people is clear. We wake up every day, and our mission has nothing to do with what the breweries do. It is completely independent. It is all for their welfare. And when you get to do this long enough, like myself, you look to be selfish, and all this stuff that I do for these businesses makes Arizona better, and you start to have that perspective. But we're informed by a board of 9 people right now, and they're of various sizes. We have production breweries, we have taproom only breweries, and we have people in other parts of the state. We have
Urban
Tucson,
breweries, rural breweries,
right? And
men, women.
it has to be like that, and we're leveraged by
Cats and dogs living together.
Yeah.
we're leveraged by the fact that the barriers between businesses is not as existent as it is with other businesses, and in other words, they collaborate on the production side, and there is a culture of helping each other. Now, they're very busy, so it's not as barrier free as we would like it to be, but we have moments where we can have everyone's attention and get amazing things done in a short period of time. And then unfortunately, some of the more mundane things like signing up for things and, and
the non-sexy things. People are like, nah.
Deadlines and calendar, things that, are kind of fall by the wayside. But we are probably, so I was hired as the 13th full-time director in the country. So think about that. Arizona is not necessarily 13th in the list of any kind of brewing thing. I think it is now. I think it's closer to I actually think we're closer to I think we overachieve as a state right now in terms of quality, experience, hospitality, well-run organization, committed people, 100%. But most states are there's a lot of states that are struggling. I mean, think about everybody in the Mountain West besides Colorado. Utah has their little literal cross to bear because of how that state based their laws. I mean,
right.
Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, New Mexico, not as many breweries and, not as robust cities. So, again, I think I would put us up with Colorado in terms of being effective as a guild, and I think they have 2 or 3 people, but generally a lot of places just have 1. Texas had a huge hurdles to overcome. You were in Texas. You couldn't get a beer at a brewery when you were there.
Besides being in Texas in general.
Yeah.
Texas, let's get around Texas.
When I was in college, there was a brew pub.
Yeah.
So in Texas, there are breweries and brew pubs, and there no way those cross over.
There's a legal distinction.
If you're a brew pub, nothing leaves your premises. They can do growlers, but they can't sell kegs. They can't do cans. They can only serve on premise. They couldn't do festivals
either.
They can't do festivals.
So we don't have those legal distinctions. So the brew pub that can say, you know what, we're taking all the seats out. You kind of did this at Uncle Bear's, right? I mean, you
did. Yeah.
You sacrificed the dining experience to build the brewery.
When there was the brewery built, and then we needed more fermentation space, so we removed seating, and then we got a canning line and rolled that out and took out some more seating. And
you don't have those. We don't have those legal barriers here. So like an industrial place. So Rent House, that was an industrial space. They put in a tap experience. If they added a kitchen, there's no legal restriction for them to do that. In other states, there totally is. And generally, as you move from East Coast to West Coast, things are more liberal on the West Coast, and when it comes to these business policies and experiences. So I think we're great, but I mean we do network with a lot of people from other states, and we could talk about that or whatever you want to talk about. But I think what we've done in the last 10 years. I'll say almost 15 years, because even the part-time person before me, Jerry Gant, he was the one who built Strong Beer. Like, I just capitalized on it and took advantage of all the scale and we blew it out. But I also got to get paid for 50% more time than he did, because I'm
as
full time.
As it is though, Strong Beer is more of a means to the end. Like, Strong Beer our focus is on making sure that our members are protected against people that want to take away their rights to do what they do.
Right. Okay.
Strong Beer provides the funding for us to be able to do those things. Our goal is not to have the biggest, best festivals ever. It just happened. And now we keep doing it because that's how we make our money.
It's a battleship, and you don't just make a U-turn with a battleship. Let it go.
Yeah.
You let it do its
Makes
thing.
it a little harder. We actually forgot to ask. We forgot to mention earlier, talking about Strong Beer Fest, but Real Wild and Woody, another festival. We actually forgot to. Where can people find information about that? We talked about it before the break. Where can people find information about ticket prices and all that stuff? Where can they get that?
Just go to realwildwoody.com
or realwildandwoody.com.
Do what he said.
Both. Dang.
Both. Yeah.
Or you can go to Choose AZ Brews.
I'm going to say, if you Google it, we're definitely top results. It's a weird combination of words to put together.
For sure. I'm excited for it.
I mean, but Real is cask ale, Wild is American sours or other microflora other than beer yeast to express those flavors. See, I know what I'm talking about.
Non-sack.
and
do non-sack.
And Woody is barrel aged.
Gross.
Barrel aged.
Also
beers.
non-sack.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is a family-friendly podcast, so you
this
can't
is
say
one
shit
of
like
the
that.
favorite festivals for brewers, though. Like, if you talk to the brewers, they want to go to this one because their peers are bringing out stuff that they don't have every day.
Yeah. And because of the change in venue and all that stuff, it's going to be more of an office party for us. And I'm excited for that part. It's like, I would say that people who were a pass on it are like, maybe you were, maybe they were there for the right reasons, but maybe you need to wait for us to get back to full strength where we have everything going the way that everyone thinks it should go. But we're pretty excited about this one. And it's going to get us to fall, and we've just briefly, we are working with Phoenix Magazine on a statewide competition. We're collecting samples, entries that they would normally put, that they can also put towards Great American Beer Festival. So we're going to have our own competition, and that's going to be the awards are going to be announced in October in conjunction with the festival, October 22nd. We hope to launch our return of AZ BrewCon, which is our industry learning experience with separate tracks for brewing and business and sales, and it's open to people who are interested in getting involved in the beer industry.
It's open to everybody. I went to it one year.
Yeah.
I went to it, just showed up and said hi to everybody.
Yeah, no.
It was great.
It's a totally immersive experience, and you can pick any track you want. So that's launching, and we're excited about that because Andrew has been working on, and I've been working on. We when we talked to Phoenix Magazine, we said, look, yeah, great awards. Like we could all like literally have 5 or 10 people. We could name all the people that should win. But that's not what we're about.
Right.
It's not the awards. So we have begun to build the culture of being a competition state. And
was it Oro, right? Oro just won silver?
Right.
Beer
But
Cup?
no,
That was a World Beer Cup.
I know you're getting to a point. I just
No. So in order to win that, that business has to restructure and focus on all kinds of things. And we talked about a little bit in our podcast. Like it's holding on to beers and understanding how they age and taking notes and having sensory with your entire staff and bringing in maybe some consumers and training them on the language of describing beer.
Okay.
We have a whole page of adjective to describe beer.
Yeah.
We just randomly pick them out.
In fact,
Cool.
Andrew, we should get these guys involved.
Yeah.
Because our theory is, if you have no experience in this, we want to talk to you because just because you make beer doesn't mean you have the best sensory or you have the best language skills. And we want to teach as many people as possible. So if we need 30 judges, I want to have 60 judges available, and I want to have 100 people in the pipeline. And the pipeline literally means I don't know anything about beer, but I'll help. So you're out there serving, you're bringing the samples back, and you're hearing what people are saying. And you're seeing the structure. You can see people taking notes.
Gotcha.
And this is all anonymous. I mean, they're all blind samples. And you see and you start to understand and respect the process. And you can be a part of it. And like you could say, you know what, I've done this and I don't have the palate. We all have basically the same palate. But I don't have the language skills. But you can learn those skills. And most people can be a really pretty good judge if they follow the program.
Okay.
So that's what I'm most excited about. So we're doing that. And that's going to be, the festival is going to be on the grassy area outside of Cardinal Stadium.
The knoll, grassy knoll outside the stadium.
Yeah. So that's a West Side thing. Like, right?
Yeah.
Literally, if you average it out, when we do that, we're in downtown Phoenix.
Yeah. That's close.
We try to do something, during the summer at the Irish Cultural Center, but like we had 2 dangers of heat. That is a thing they have done for decades, or a decade, an outdoor evening festival in 105 or whatever, because they're celebrating a book, Ulysses. And we were going to be a part of it. But like when you start to get 115, 116, like, yeah, this is not cool.
Yeah.
So they postponed it. We're probably going to reboot that in December. We've got a whole host of Oktoberfests. What else we got going on?
Oh, please
fall.
tell me that's it.
Never.
We got what do we have in
Wickenburg Oktoberfest, potentially.
Yeah. So again, if you average that out, we're practically
You're almost there.
Look, Chris, we've been preparing for it with our, if you listen to our Patreon shows, our malt liquor blind taste test, our low beer, our low ABV, low calorie blind taste test, our pumpkin beer blind taste test.
You said Oktoberfest already. We did that one too. Well,
Yeah. So
it's crazy.
We are not walking away from downtown Phoenix. In fact, the goal of us to have stuff at the convention center at great risk and loss was to get a national convention here, which would be the Brewers Convention and our Brewers Association Craft Brewers Conference. And it's look, it's a 5 to 10 year slog to get those kinds of things happening. And we thought we were close before the pandemic, and now we're back to 5 years at a minimum to get it back here. So it's that would be monumental to have as a thing for our state in the craft beer industry. So that's what we're working on. We're not walking away from any place, but we're being practical. And we left a void in Central Phoenix. So like, if there's an opportunity for someone to do something in Central Phoenix, I say go for it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we've got a great relationship with the DTPHX people who really want to do a street festival.
Yeah. I should mention we partnered in the past, and we're going to do something with the one community organization, which is LBGTQ. They have a street festival in downtown Phoenix. That doesn't happen very often. Like, people don't do street festivals in downtown Phoenix. They are doing it, so we're going to support it, and we support their cause, and we as houses of hospitality and as beers for everyone, we're going to be a part of that. So there are things that we're involved in, and we may not have sometimes the guild shield is at the front, and sometimes it's at the back, and sometimes it doesn't exist. But we support a lot of festivals that people don't think we do. We don't always get a return on it,
Right.
but our businesses do. We hope you enjoyed part 1 of this collaboration between the Hoppy Craftsmen and Arizona Beer Frontier. If you didn't notice at the end of the show, they did mention that I am a Patreon of the Hoppy Craftsmen, and so it should go without saying that I support everything that they do. I'd like to invite you, if you aren't already listening to them, to subscribe to their podcast on the platform of your choice. And if you don't know how to do that, I'm not even sure how you're listening to the show. Please join us for part 2, where we talk about the Guild's place in relation to other guilds across the country and the specifics of the situation in New Jersey and what the implications are for Arizona and beyond. Have a great week.